Hey, happy football Sunday, everyone. Welcome to Football and Beer. That's why we are here. He's Dave, I'm Chuck, and welcome to the show. Plenty of teams on bye this week, so every pick this week is gonna count. And but a lot of good football last week. And how you doing, Dave? I didn't know it was backwards hat day. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I can pull that
Well,
off.
I was on a bye, so I didn't, I can take the week off a little bit. But I just wanted to remind everyone when we come back, how many Super Bowls we've won since this is all our Super
Oh,
Bowl.
is that what that is?
Yeah.
So we're not on a buy, so I actually have to work this week and picking. So it's going to be a tough week. So hey, but any game before we get into our picks this week? Any games last week that really surprised you, or even Thursday night, or
Um, I was surprised. I thought, we had picked 49er Ram game as the big game needed of the week. And I don't know, I was pleasantly surprised on the outcome of that. I thought maybe that'd be a little bit closer game, but we went into LA and dominated them pretty well. So that was a little bit of a surprise. I don't know. I saw us, having the potential to win, but I didn't think we'd kick their butt.
yeah, that was. I thought it would be a much closer game, but they 49ers came to play. I don't. The Rams do not look like the team they were last season, and it's going to be a struggle for them moving forward, I think. But uh, so hey, we're football and beer, and so beer wise, I just poured this out. Got quite a nice head on this here, but this is my brew of the week is from Boulevard Brewing out of Missouri, and it is an unfiltered wheat beer, and only 4.4 ABV. And I got it this week. Leila had some work friends over for dinner, and I thought this might be a middle of the road. Anyone can kind of enjoy brew, and so. But what got me was that it was unfiltered, and so it definitely, I don't think I've seen an unfiltered this cloudy, other than maybe Widmer's uh, wheat and hef, and so, anywho, that's what I got on tap this week. What about you, buddy?
So I found just one of those cans you walk by at the liquor store where I was like, oh yeah, I like the can. I'll check that out. Um, and basically, it is from I have an East Coast beer, which is very rare for
Hmm.
the show. I usually have California beer, but this is from Bayshore, New York, and it's Great South Bay Brewing, and it's a 5.9%, and it's limited edition beverage series ACDC
Wow, look at that.
for those about to rock ale, and it's kind of a nice, looks like nice session colory beer. Haven't tried it yet, so this will be my first sip. Yeah, pretty good. Good session beer. This
Yeah, and
came
this
in a
is
4 pack. I could easily drink a couple in a row for sure. Real easy drinking beer.
yeah, and that's what I was going to say about this. This one's actually quite refreshing. Almost, I mean, yeah, it's actually quite refreshing. It's got almost a slight nitrocarbonation taste or hit to it. So, but yeah, so well, enjoy, and whatever you guys got on tap this week, viewers, for your brew, let us know. Put it in the comments, and you got something out there that we've never heard of, we can certainly try and see if we can't track it down and get it on the show as well. So before we get into this week's picks, we kind of do a recap of where we're at. It has been a tough year for us with our picks, and but after week 8, Dave, you picked up a game on me last week, going 9-6 last week. I went 8-7, and so you're now within a couple of games of me, but we're both still underwater this season with our picks. And my goal, hopefully today, is to get a lot closer to 500. And and with that, we had our first pick Thursday night. We did not help ourselves. One stinking point. One stinking point. And so, but yeah. So anyway, that was a tough loss for us. Darn Texans. And I've said it in weeks past, the Texans find a way to keep games close, and that game was a lot closer in the middle of it than it should have been.
Yeah.
And so, but the Eagles are 8-0 now. I mean, nobody would have thought that at the beginning of the season. So, yeah. But anyway, so let's get into the first game that we actually have to do pick, and I actually changed my pick on this. I'm going to let you go first this week. So we got the Chargers going to the ATL, and the Chargers are favored on the road by 3. What do you think?
So we got these two teams. The Chargers give up the 4th most points so far this year on defense to offenses, and Atlanta gives up the 2nd most points per game. The only thing being is I feel like the Chargers can score a lot more than Atlanta can, maybe can move the ball, even though Mariota's playing pretty well and they're at home. So this could be a fairly high-scoring game as they both give up quite a bit of points. But I'm gonna take the Chargers coming off the bye week. The Falcons barely scraped by an OT against the Panthers last week. That was a little concerning. And so I'm just going to take the Chargers because they're coming off a bye week, and I think they could maybe just score a little bit more than Atlanta can.
Okay, so Kim is on board with the Falcons this week, and so
she's got to be kidding. She's a Charger fan,
right? I just thought I hope my Chargers win, but she's taking the Falcons. She hopes they win, but she's taking the Falcons. Yeah, so
put too much syrup on her pancakes this morning. She's not thinking right.
So here's why I'm picking what I'm picking, and this is tough for me. We got 2 Oregon Duck quarterbacks. Together.
Probably the 2 best Duck quarterbacks ever, besides maybe Dan Fouts. But yeah,
going
2 best quarterbacks ever.
But unfortunately, Herbert does not have his 2 top receivers, Allen and Williams, and their kicker Hopkins is out. So they're quite banged up, and it's been showing in how they've been playing. They haven't been scoring a lot of points, and the Falcons are finding ways to keep games close and win. So I'm taking the Falcons today to win to take this. So yeah, look at me Googling stuff, looking, coming somewhat prepared. All right, so now we have the Dolphins going on the road to play the Bears, and the Dolphins are favored by 5 on the road. Since Tua came back, they're starting to click again. I'm taking the Dolphins here. I'd love to be able to take the Bears, but I'm taking the Dolphins. The Bears let us down, I think, last week too.
Yeah, they let me down a lot lately. Yeah, I have to go Dolphins. It's only 5. Bears aren't showing consistency. So we'll have the number 1 total passing yards team in the Dolphins so far this season against the number 1 rushing yards total in the league, because you have Justin Fields running around so much. He helps with that. And then they have Herbert and Montgomery, who either week can have a 100-yard rushing game. They do run a lot. They're kind of like Atlanta. They have mobile quarterbacks. They run the ball a lot. They don't make their quarterback pass the ball too much. So yeah, we have the number 1 total yards passing offense against the number 1 total yards rushing offense. But I think you throw the ball a lot further than you run the ball. So I'm going to go with the Dolphins for sure.
Yeah, it's hard to pick the Bears in this scenario. All right, so moving on down to the Panthers and the Bengals. The Bengals let us down last week playing the Browns, and just you might have. I don't think anyone really knows what the Bengals are going to do week to week. I think you just flip a coin, and just pick who you think might win, and so I'm trying to think. Do I have a coin on me? I don't. I have a Hawaii sticker that I need to put on my car. So I'm going to throw this up, and if the tail is up, then I'm picking the Panthers. If the tail is down, I'm picking the Bengals. Let's see what happens. I'm picking the Panthers.
There you go.
And actually, to be fair, I was already going to pick the Panthers. So Just because they got a new look there in Carolina, they're playing better, and the Bengals, like I said, you just don't know.
Yeah, they're pretty sporadic so far this season. Their best receiver is going to be out today, maybe for weeks. Jamar Chase, even though Burrows throws it all around. The Panthers have Deontay Foreman, which they kept it close with the Falcons, went to overtime, and a lot of it was because they were banging that ball with Deontay Foreman. He's a big back. If they could keep it out of Burrow's hands and move the ball on the ground and run the clock, it's going to be hard for Burrows to have a lot of chances to, get much of a lead. And that 7's quite a bit. The Panthers aren't great, but Walker has been playing okay for the Panthers. Their defense is pretty good. Burrows gets sacked a lot, and Panthers can rush a bit too. So I'm going to take the Panthers also, maybe not to win, but to not lose by 7.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that may be where it's at. Hopefully, if the Bengals win, it's within a field goal or such. And so, all right, so we have now the Packers and the Lions, and this is another one. It's like you'd think, hey, Packers is easy pick here, but I don't know anymore. Who you got here?
I have to pick the Packers because if they can't win this game, then Aaron Rodgers needs to retire and the coach needs to be fired. Okay. The Lions have one win. They're not playing that great. They have a bunch of yards, but when you're constantly throwing the ball down the field to try to get back into games, you're going to have a bunch of yards. So that's kind of skewed because a team's playing prevent against them like the whole second half. And so they can rack up a ton of yards, but they don't rack up a ton of points. They both allow a ton of yards rushing. They're the 4th and 3rd worst against the rush. And Packers have Aaron Jones, which when they're smart and they get him the ball a lot, they do pretty well. I've got to take the Packers. This is a must-win for them.
No, I agree that it is, and but the Lions put up a fight against the Dolphins last week, and 31-27, the Dolphins won. But they dropped 27 on them, which means against a team that can score. I'm taking the Lions here, even if it's a field goal win for the Packers. It's a win, and so the Lions are able to score points, and I don't think that the Packers our defense is any better than. Oh, I actually had that up there. I was trying to see. So if I compared the Packers defense, they're 18 to what did they play last? Oh yeah. Yeah, I can't even see them. There's too many teams. I can't see. Oh, Miami's got a worse defense. So the Packers have a better defense by 6.
Yeah.
If you're ready.
Well, Detroit has the worst points per game defense in the league. They give up more points per game than any team in the league.
Yeah. So I'm still taking the Lions. I'm going out there. I got to get to 500. I got to extend my lead. I got to take some risks. What would Phil do? He's in the trees. What would Phil do?
Grab that big bag of money.
Get that big bag of money. Live golf. All right. So you're on the Packers. I'm on the Lions. And here we have the Raiders and the Jaguars. The Raiders are just garbage. And the Jaguars can win football games. The Raiders are favored on the road in Jacksonville. And, playing outdoors in that muggy weather down there, that shouldn't be that bad at this time of year. But I'm taking the Jaguars.
Yeah, this is kind of its sad middle of the season. Like, yay, somebody has to win this game between these two crap teams. It's like you see this on the schedule for these teams probably early last week, and they're like, wow, we have a chance. We have a chance to win a game, which is a sad place to be at middle season. The Jaguars at home, Etienne's been playing pretty well for them. The Raiders, Jacob's been running the ball well. They just cannot win. And I don't know what is going on there, but I feel like this is almost a game too for the Raiders. Like if you lose this game, or especially if you like go down there and get blown out, like everyone's fired. Like you were a playoff team last year, you won 10 games, you have everyone back and Devontae Adams. I mean, how do you just blow this season like this? You got to win it. You got to win this game. I don't know. I think I got to go with the Jaguars at home. I mean, they're up and down, but the Raiders I have no confidence in the Raiders winning games, no matter what their stats are, no matter how much the running back run. It's just one of those seasons where they're just kind of cursed this season. Like they're just not going to get wins. So I'm just going to take the Jaguars basically because they're at home.
Okay. Fair enough. But with one, only a point and a half, that's basically picking the winner unless somebody misses a extra point. So, alrighty. So, this will be an interesting game. I mean, I don't think it'll be interesting to watch necessarily, but it'll be an interesting game to see who actually comes out on this because the Raiders, they should be a lot better, and they're not. But there's a lot of teams that are playing that are in that scenario that just aren't playing up to their potential. I think the Rams are one of them. The Bengals are one, and the Raiders coming in. It's like, we have a good team. We'll make the playoffs, no problem. But it's not looking so hot for them now. So Colts and the Patriots. Colts are going to New England and. The Patriots played well last week. I forgot if I picked them or not. The Colts got their new, they're rebuilding now. Matt Ryan's done, at least for the year, but I can't see him continuing on. I'm taking the Patriots 5.5 here at home.
Yeah, they played really well last week, and despite bouncing back and forth to quarterbacks, Zappy and Mac Jones. I just feel, at home, the Colts are kind of down. They're a little bit banged up in some places, too, still. They still got some injuries. This will be this quarterback's second start, basically, in New England, which I'm sure Bill Belichick, as a defensive-minded guy, is just loving getting to play a young guy in his second game at home. So, Patriots for sure on this one.
Yeah, and they beat I don't want to say they beat a decent team last week in the Jets, but the Jets have been playing well this year, and it was 22-17, but the Patriots shouldn't have a problem with this today. So this is a big spread for the Bills playing the Jets, but it should be expected, and this is either going to be okay. Yep, the Bills are expected to win by 13, or this is going to be the Jets saying that's not how we're going to roll this year. And who do you got here?
That's such a big spread. I hate these big spread games because, like the Philly one, we lost it by a point. The Bills are the number one offense in the NFL so far this year, number one in yards, and they also are the number one defense against allowing yards. So not only do they get a ton of yards, they keep the other team from getting very many yards. I think we really saw the effects of Breece Hall not being there for the Jets last week because they could not move the ball like they would be able to with him. And I'm not sold on Zach Wilson yet. He's got a good arm. He looks like he could be a decent young player for the Jets. But with that Bills defense, they're going to be all over him. I just feel like he's going to have someone in his face a lot. So even if it's 13, I got to take the Bills. I mean, I just think they're a powerhouse this year. And I'll give them the benefit of the doubt because they can put up so many points. I'll take the Bills.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. It's just like they should be able to do this, and they've been able to score. So it is a big spread, but I'm taking the Bills as well. So the Vikings and the Commanders the Vikings are going to play the Commanders this week. They're in Washington, and the Vikings are actually favored just over a field goal on the road. And I was trying this morning to how could I pick the Commanders here, and I can't because the Vikings are like 6-1, or they've only lost a game. The Cardinals played them well last week, had chances to win the game, but the Cardinals are the Cardinals this year. I'm taking the Vikings here on the road to cover 3.5 points.
Yeah, I'd take the Vikings too. They're playing really well. The Commanders are just kind of like, if they have that Heineke magic at quarterback, they're, I don't know. They're a 500 team. They might get Chase Young back. He was back at practice. That will help their pass rush if he's healthy and back on the field for sure. But with only 3.5 and how well the Vikings have been playing this year, and the Commanders, you don't know what you're going to get out of them week to week. I'll take the Vikings.
Okay, so we're both on board with the Vikings. All right, so one of the key games this afternoon, the Seahawks are coming here to my Phoenix or Arizona to play the Glendale, actually, to play Cardinals. The Cardinals lost to them a few weeks ago, 19-9, and they're favored at home by 2. They don't even get the customary 3, but they're favored. The Cardinals are 3-5. The Seahawks are leading the NFC West. No respect at all for the Seahawks in Vegas. And the Cardinals, again, are favored at home. The Cardinals do not play well at home unless it's on Thursday night. So we have a horrible winning record at State Farm Stadium over the last 2-3 years. And but I think we had lost like 6 or 7 straight at home, but we had a really high winning percentage on the road. So anyway, Cardinals are favored. I got my Cardinals gear on, so obviously I'm just prepped to say that I'm picking the Seahawks today. This is Cliff Kingsbury's last game.
There you go. Well, it could be a high-scoring game. The Cardinals have given up the second most total points this season as a defense. The Seahawks have given up the 5th most. So it could be a very high-scoring game. But, yeah, Seattle hasn't got any respect, yet they're playing really well this year for that roster that they have. So I got to take the Seahawks, too. Plus, they beat them a couple weeks ago by more than 2. And, yeah, like you said, the Cardinals don't have a great home record. It seems like they almost have anxiety now playing at home because I think they put so much pressure on themselves to win at home and they just don't get it done. And that's, that can start to weigh on a team, especially halfway through the season with a lot of, in the news for Murray. And, yeah, this could be the coach's last game. I mean, it's a division game. You get swept. You're favored for some reason at home. But, yeah, I'm going to have to take the Seahawks and just, what I'm looking at, they're playing better football than Arizona. It's only 2-point spread. Yeah,
and it's just, it's right now. I mean, it's just not a smart pick to take the Cardinals. The last game we were at, there was quite a few boos in there, and I'll tell you what, if the Cardinals get behind, or even if they start run, I mean, it was happening just when they were running a bunch of screenplays, which is their MO. I just simply do not get it. And everyone can play up close. I mean, Hopkins is back, but I was looking at route charts during midweek on where all of his catches and attempts were, and they're all within like 15 yards. Everything was within 15 to 20 yards. I mean, there were a couple up there into 20, but they're not stretching. They're not even trying to challenge the corners or safeties. And it's like, hey, we'll take our 7 to 15 yard passes and march down the field and then just score. I mean, that's not. I mean, if that's the identity that Kingsbury wants for the Cardinals, it's not working, and it's going to be super interesting because I think this week starts Hard Knocks in season, and it's the Arizona Cardinals, and so it'll be really interesting just to kind of watch that, and but yeah, I think that if the Cardinals cannot score points today, or if it's just field goals, Kingsbury's got to be done. I'm a member of a lot of different Twitter and groups, or follow a bunch of Arizona sports people and it's just like how they're Keem and I don't know if I said his name right, Keim Keem, general manager, Kingsbury. People just can't they can't fathom why they're still around here. It's like what why it's it. Do you not care about winning? Are you okay with losing? And because the fans will still come. And but anyway, but yeah. So I think if it's see if it's a tight game within a field goal, maybe Cliff survives another week. But if it's a blowout, he's got to go. You can't win again in your own division. Um, that's because that's the first thing you got to win. To try to make a playoff run, and but they're 3-5, and they just don't look like they're playing ball. And to drop off from last season where they were 10-2 before they fell apart, and that's the thing. Once they fell apart, I think that hurt them last year. They haven't recovered from being the last undefeated team last year, and then just literally falling apart. And so anyway, off my soapbox. You heard it here first, folks. Cliff Kingsbury will not be the coach of the Arizona Cardinals next week. Or I'll be wrong because it's hard to fire coaches. Just wishful thinking if they lose. All right, moving on. Next game. So we're both with the Seahawks. So the Rams and the Bucs. The Rams got worked by 49ers last week. They're going to Florida. So they had a long flight across the entire United States. And the Bucs are favored by 3 at home. But this is another one that's just like Tom Brady. There's zero offense in Tampa Bay. And these should be the 2 most talented teams in the NFL. I mean, not taking anything away from the Bills or the Bengals are a talented team. But I think Miami and the Bills are 2 of the most talented teams for me personally. I think in the NFL. But these 2, the Rams and the Bucs, this is like your NFC championship, game that you would maybe expect for me. And the Rams aren't playing up to their potential. The Bucs suck. I'm taking the Rams.
Yeah, this is a tough one. These are the 2 worst rushing offenses in the league. Even though you'd think with Leonard Fournette, the Bucs could run a little bit better and not be one of the worst 2 rushing teams, but they are. Understandable for the Rams, right? They don't really know who their running back is. Cam Akers won't even show up to the facility anymore. They're a mess at running back, the Rams are. It's just, they could probably grab a free agent guy or something off this practice squad and do just about as good as they're doing, if not better. So this is a tough one. Brady does throw for a lot of yards. Who knows, if all his receivers are healthy. I feel like, yeah, you have a good cornerback in Ramsey on maybe Mike Evans. He locks one down, but then you have several other guys that should be able to get open for the Bucs. That being said, I'll go different with you. I'll go with the Bucs at home, mainly because they're at home. That's a long travel for the Rams, and the things the Rams do good with Aaron Donald. It's not going to matter that the Bucs can't run the ball. They haven't ran the ball all season. They're going to throw the ball. So Brady gets the ball out fast enough usually that Aaron Donald shouldn't be as much of a factor, or any Rams pass rush shouldn't be as much of a factor because he's in shotgun and getting the ball off in 2 seconds. So I'm going to take the Bucs. I think Brady needs this game really bad. All the stuff that he's going through and in the news about his divorce and him sucking because of it this year and his team not winning. And he really needs a big game like this against a team that won the Super Bowl, beat them in the playoffs last year to get to the Super Bowl. This is a big revenge type game that I could see Tom Brady circle on his schedule at the start of the year. So I'm gonna take the Bucs at home.
Okay. It's interesting when we look at how bad the Arizona Cardinals are. Arizona Cardinals have only won 3 games this season. Guess who else has only won 3 games this season? The Rams and the Bucks.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Parodying the NFL, I suppose, but you're looking at 2 teams that's like, oh yeah, they're probably they're middle of the pack. They're not where they need to be. They're not in their stride. Shit, they're only as good as the Arizona Cardinals, and not a lot to say there. So this will be an interesting game to see who shows up, and maybe I think this is I don't want to call it a rivalry, but I think there's a lot on the line for both these teams, and probably the team that wins today maybe has a little bit of momentum going in to the second half of the season, since we're 50% of the way through now. Alrighty, only 2 games left. So those are all the afternoon games today. So tonight we have the Titans and the Chiefs. Titans going to Arrowhead Stadium, and the Chiefs are favored by 12.5 at home against the Titans, who are on a winning streak. I don't really care for the quarterback, and I really don't want to take the Titans, but I don't think they have the offense. I think the Chiefs have been able to score on whoever they really want to score. And there's only been one team I think that's kind of held them back or held them in check. And so I'll take the Chiefs at home by 12.5. Woo! Because I think the other thing is the Titans, just depends so much on the run game now. I mean, they've been winning with Derrick Henry, slowing the game down. I think once they start getting behind, the turnovers start happening for the Titans.
Yeah, I think that's going to be it in this game. I mean, Tannehill might not even play, so look for that Willis kid, the rookie, to come in and play this game.
I might change my pick now.
But, he's in Kansas City. The Chiefs play great at home. It's a tough place for a road team to play. Derrick Henry had to run for 200 yards last week, and they beat the Texans 17-10.
Yeah.
The guy carried the ball like 40 times. Can you do that 2 weeks in a row? I just don't think they can score with the Chiefs. There's just no way they're going to be able to score with them. I mean, I have to take the Chiefs, even if it's 12.5. I don't even know if the Titans are going to score 12.5 points total in this game. They might score 10, 13 maybe. But the Chiefs are just – Mahomes can make so many plays at home. He's got so many weapons. I think they can run it up. And it's a primetime game.
Yeah.
Mahomes loves the lights. He loves being the new face of the NFL. He wants to be the guy of the league after these old guys finally realize they're done. Him and Josh Allen are going to be the face of the league, and I think he kind of knows it. And these kind of games, even though the Titans, they have a good record, but who have they played? They don't play anyone. Their division's crap. I mean, the Jaguars and the Colts and the Texans, like, if you can't win that division, like, come on. Like, that's a real bad division.
Yeah, it is.
So, I think the Chiefs can roll them.
Yeah, I hope so. And because I'd like to see that Titans team rebuilt. All right, last game. So that's tonight, and like you said, primetime. Tomorrow night's primetime game. The Ravens are going on the road to New Orleans to play the Saints. And the Ravens, I'm shocked this is only 2.5. I have no problem. Taking the Ravens here, against the Saints. The Saints looked horrible last week.
Yeah, they have some quarterback issues. They have no stability at that quarterback, and their receivers aren't healthy either. They have not a lot to throw to, get the ball down the field. Thomas, who knows if he's even going to come back this year. What do you want to interject here with something? What do you got?
No, I was wrong about last week. They actually shut out the Raiders.
Yeah, they played the Raiders. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was thinking of something else, and they did shut out the Raiders. But but the Raiders are the Raiders, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. Just before I get corrected, they didn't look too bad last week. They won 24-0.
Well,
So
Alvin Kamara had 18 of those points too. He had 3 touchdowns. So it was all him. So basically, if you're the Ravens, you just got Roquan Smith from the Bears, who's the leading tackler in the NFL at the trade deadline. You just say, hey, you stay on Kamara the whole game. All right. And then the Saints have no offense.
yeah,
If you shadow Kamara basically the whole game with the best tackler in the NFL, you're going to win that game because they don't have any other options in New Orleans. The Ravens are they score the 3rd most points per game on offense in the league so far this season. And the Saints are the 5th worst defense giving up points per game. So, with just using those stats, the Ravens should be able to score a ton of points today. And like I said, you shut down Kamara, the Saints aren't scoring any points. So, yeah, Ravens, I think, take this one. I would probably pick the Ravens even if this game was a touchdown spread.
yeah, yeah. I probably would as well. And so that's it, folks. So those are all of our picks. And if you're watching the show throughout the week or today, I guess, feel free to put in your picks, or if you see something, always come back and put a comment in. We love to engage with our viewers. So I think this week might have hit some of our viewership just with the falling back of our time zones. Here in Arizona, we don't fall for that crap. We just keep the same clock year round. Dave is an hour behind. It's 10:36 here. The only thing weird about being here in Arizona is that football doesn't start till 11. And that's kind of one of those mind things, like, grow up and games start at 10 o'clock every day. Right. And, but here it's 11 o'clock now, for our morning games, and takes a little bit to get used to for, a few weeks. But, so what's your game of the week, Dave? What game are you looking to watch, the most this week?
There's nothing that like screams out at me like as a good game. I mean, I think there'll be a lot of close games this week. I can see a handful of them of the score being really close, or a few going into overtime. There's really no heavyweight hitters. I see a lot of desperation games this point in the season. I mean, I feel like right now, Chargers, Falcons. Are we going to be a playoff team? Who are we? We need this win to kind of give us over the hump we can be a playoff team for both those teams. How bad do we suck? Packers, Lions. Are we that bad, Packers? Raiders, Jaguars. Are we this bad? Are we the bottom of the barrel in the NFL? That's one. The Rams, Bucks.
Yeah.
We were supposed to be contenders in the NFC. Do we suck this bad? Like, who's gonna win that out? And then Seahawks, Cardinals. Can the Cardinals win and get back into this close NFC West race that's really still anybody's ball game halfway through the season? We beat Seattle, who's on top of the division. That really helps us. And then we're only like, a game back, 2 games back or something. I mean, we're still in range. You're only a game back. You're in range. And now you have a win against them, so you split. So no one has that tiebreaker over each other. It would go to whatever the second tiebreaker is, or whatever, probably division record overall, I think is the second tiebreaker. But yeah, I don't see too many amazing games. I see a lot of, oh crap, we need to figure ourselves out, and it's week 9 games. But just because of probably preseason hype, Rams, Bucks, but personal hype, I got the 2 best quarterbacks in Oregon history going against each other, Chargers, Falcons. So I got to go Chargers, Falcons. I mean, Mariota, Herbert, the 2 biggest Heisman candidates in Oregon history besides Joey Harrington. So that's just going to be fun to watch, to see those 2 Duck quarterbacks go at it. I like that.
Yeah, and I checked out some of the Ducks game yesterday against Colorado, the 1-win Colorado.
We buried them. They're the worst team in FBS football. There's 131 teams. They're 131st ranked. They're the worst in college football.
The Ducks were just they could run anything they want. We were at Buffalo Wild Wings for a while, and saw them score the first 21 points, and I was like, oh, this is going to be, Ducks are averaging almost 50 points a game, number 8 in the nation. Some top team, some big, 1-3 played yesterday. A lot of big football. Alabama lost again. Woohoo! And so that could probably take them right out of the playoffs now for the first time, I think. And
Bo Nix could be up for the Heisman. He caught a touchdown pass, played well again. And then Martinez, the Oregon cornerback, had 2 interceptions. He played at Colorado his first 4 years. This is his last eligible year or whatever it is, or something. He played at Colorado last year, and he came to play for the Ducks this year, and he had 2 picks against his old team. One, he almost had a pick 6. He just stepped out of bounds at the 2-yard line.
Yeah, and to see Sewell get that
run. Yeah, rush for a touchdown. That was awesome.
Yeah, so
that's
anyway,
cool.
Hopefully they move up a spot this week, maybe 7, and still at least stay in the top 10 at least to the end of the season. So, hey, folks, well, that's pretty much it, and we're just rambling at this point. So, hey, I just want to say enjoy your football Sunday, Kim. Thank you for joining. Have a great football. Go Chargers, even though you picked the Falcons. But I'm sure that's a loss you'll be happy to take. And if it actually happens, so we'll see what they can do with their backup receivers there for San Diego. I'm sorry, Los Angeles. And Jim and Cindy, thanks for watching. And all right, on behalf of Dave, just have a fantastic day, everyone. Enjoy it, and just enjoy life. And we'll see you next Sunday, 9 a.m. and on the West Coast. And have a fantastic day. Bye.